Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unexplained Archives, where we talk about everything spooky and paranormal. I am one of your hosts, Jen.
Hey, I'm Jamie, the other host.
Hello, Jamie. How's it
Hi.
going?
Going good. It's going good. We always banter a little bit before we hit record, and some weird stuff was happening, but I'm
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, you all missed it, and who knows? I mean, we're recording, and anything could happen again, and well, if it does, I'm gonna leave it,
Yes,
unless Jamie says no. But yeah, some weird things have already been happening just
I
before
know.
we got
Something,
started.
yeah, something thumped me in the head. It literally, we were just talking away, and I jumped because it felt like someone just took their finger and thumped me on the top of the head.
Yeah, like
So,
twice.
yeah, it was so
Yeah.
weird. And it's been weird. I've had so far today, I fell asleep on the couch for one because I worked like a long shift yesterday,
Yeah.
and woke up this morning. The front door was wide open. It was, yeah, it really freaked me out. So I've been in a little bit of a, yeah, creepy mindset
Yes.
just from the minute I opened my eyes.
Yes.
Um, Also, I didn't mention that my ring light wouldn't work. Like, I plugged it in and it just went off, and so I
Okay.
touched it, came back on. So I don't know if it was a short, but if it
Okay.
goes off, we'll see. So
Okay.
technical difficulties, and my mic and my camera didn't work when we started the platform for the podcast.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on, but we'll see. I blame Peggy because that
Yeah.
freaking doll from last week
Yeah.
still is freaking me out. We do the social media posts, and so you're not supposed to look at a full image. Of course, when I looked for images, all these full images of her
Yeah.
full Pegginess pop up,
Right. And
and
all her face.
all her full blown Pegginess. Yeah.
Yes. Oh
So
gosh.
I don't know. I'm just I got the heebie-jeebies today. So we'll
Yeah.
keep an eye out on for weirdness, but
Yeah. I mean,
hopefully
anything
the
could happen.
recording goes okay.
Yeah. Let's hope we can get through this. If anything, I mean, listen, hey, if anything paranormal or supernatural happens while we're recording,
Yeah,
we'll go with
yeah,
it.
exactly. I mean, something definitely did come in my front door. But unfortunately it just looked like a house fly. So
Okay.
but you never know. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. So was the door locked? You had it unlocked?
I do lock it when I'm here by myself.
Yeah.
If I'm going in and out, I
Yeah.
sometimes don't, but um, I maybe I didn't lock it, but I definitely closed it.
Yeah, of
So I
course.
don't know. And it was the screen door and the front door, the heavy front door, both were wide open today.
Wow.
Yeah. We
Was
had
it
some
windy?
storms through the night, so the only thing
Okay.
I can think of is if for some reason I didn't close it good enough, but it
Yeah.
just seems like both doors, that's a little
Yeah.
weird.
It
So,
is a little weird.
a
All
little
right. Well,
freaky.
keep us posted. I don't
I
know. Maybe we
will.
can find like a Peggy cleanse of some kind.
I know. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is she
Burn
the
state.
one though that when they tried to do exorcism, it just kept getting worse every time?
Oh yeah. No, she doesn't like an exorcism.
Yeah.
She thinks
Yeah.
it's a joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just makes
Yeah.
her angrier. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how to. I'm not sure what people do after they've been affected by Peggy. Because, like,
I don't
we
know.
talked about before, like, Robert, you can apologize. I mean,
Yeah.
with Annabelle, I think she just doesn't want to be taunted. I mean, the
Right.
cases heard, I know in particular there was a couple who had come to visit when the museum was open. They came to visit, and he was like, the guy was banging on, tapping on the glass and saying
Right.
things to her. And then they came on a motorcycle, and on the way back, they both died in a motorcycle
Oh,
accident.
man. That's so
Right. And
crazy. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know. So I think at least with Annabelle, like she just doesn't want you banging on her case and
Right.
making fun of her, which is, reasonable. But with Peggy, that's what I'm saying. She's a loose cannon.
I
She
know.
wants to wreak havoc. She don't care.
Yeah. I just
So
want it out of there. Like when I saw those images pop up,
yes,
immediately I got panicky and I don't know, I mean, I've heard the stories, could have been just anxiety related to that, but I guess we will see
yeah,
or we
yeah.
won't.
Oh yeah,
Or we won't. So,
right. Well,
yeah.
hopefully we won't see anything.
Yes.
And yeah, this is just strange coincidences.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
we'll
keep you
we'll see.
posted on any
Yeah,
other developments. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Do
So,
you feel sometimes though, like because of what we do now and what we talk about? I mean, either it could be getting us more paranoid about stuff,
right?
or do you think we're kind of like inviting?
Stirring stuff up. I've
Yeah.
thought about that several times just because of things that have happened that
Mhm.
were unusual. I
Yeah.
was wondering, I was like, I
Mhm.
wonder.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that from other podcasters. The stranger things will be happening, and
Uh-huh.
we're talking about it, we're bringing it to
Yeah,
light.
right.
Are we inviting it to, you know, start joining our lives because of it? It's an interesting theory, and we always share with you guys what's going on. Cause my house has been quiet for a while. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, and that happens. That happens here. You get a bunch of
Uh-huh.
activity, and then it's just quiet for a
Yeah,
while. So you just don't know. There's no
that's
rhyme or reason.
true. I
Hmm.
know. That's why we do this. Try to
That's right.
figure some of this out,
Yeah.
solve some mysteries.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I honestly don't know. I do feel like things have been a little off,
Okay.
so we'll keep an eye
Mhm.
on it and
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll keep it posted about all our weird stuff going on.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
have not played with the Ouija board, so
Yeah.
yeah, we're not doing that, so at
Yes.
least we,
Yeah.
know we're not stirring that stuff up
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Although I am a proud owner, I do not partake in the Ouija board.
no.
So I haven't been either.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's reassuring. I'm watching you, Jen. I'm watching
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. 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 I'm the one that has them. Yeah.
Awesome.
No,
Oh,
my daughter told me I wasn't allowed to play with it anymore, so I
smart
can't.
girl, smart
Yeah.
girl. Thanks, Gabby.
Yeah, right.
Oh, what
So
else is going on?
yeah, well, big news yesterday. We have been kind of keeping up to date with the Victoria and Aaron Goodwin murder for hire situation. We are recording on June 6th. The sentencing was yesterday, June 5th. And Victoria Goodwin has been sentenced. She was sentenced 36 to 90 months in jail, which works out to be 3 to 7.5 years.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's enough.
I I don't think it's enough. And after watching, I can put a link in the show notes as well. Court TV did cover the case, so I was actually able to watch the sentencing, and both attorneys, an attorney for Aaron Goodwin, Victoria's attorney spoke. Victoria spoke, and Aaron was actually in court, and he wrote a statement as well that to me was so heartbreaking. I mean, we've been talking about this.
Right?
We've both we both acknowledged how horrible this is, how that must we can't I mean, I can't imagine you're with somebody, you don't see anything like this coming, like how like, it has to affect you, like mentally, emotionally, physically, probably in a lot of ways. He's now probably, I assumed afraid to even leave the house.
Right.
um, so hearing his impact statement was huge yesterday. I did jot some notes down just to kind of share if you guys hadn't had a chance to see what was said and what was done. Just a quick update. If you guys haven't, if you're just joining us and hearing what we have to say about this, so Aaron Goodwin of Ghost Adventures was married to Victoria Goodwin. They were married, I think, just 2 years, I think is what it was. They were together for quite a few years before that. But it was discovered in March that Victoria had put a hit out on Aaron's life. She had been having, I guess, what you could call an affair with convicted murder. I mean, as much as you can call it that, I guess
Yeah.
emotional affair
Yeah.
with convicted murderer Grant Amato, who is in prison for killing his parents and his brother. Victoria had seen a documentary on him and thought he seemed like someone she could reach out to, and they started a relationship. Now, we've been only given like little details on there were text messages exchanged between the two of them. Amato had a contraband phone in his prison cell, and eventually got confiscated. That's how everybody knows what's going on, is because that was confiscated. Thank goodness, because it could have
Mhm.
been really bad.
Yeah.
Um, so, so now with sentencing, I feel like a lot more came out. There's things that I didn't know about. I'm sure the rest of the world didn't know about, and I thought I would share today. So, yeah. So Aaron's attorney kind of spoke first. He did talk a little bit about. They didn't really have a. I guess you could have like a sentencing recommendation. If you're the victim, you can say, "This is what I think she should serve." Now, his attorney and Aaron both said, "We leave it up to you, judge. We don't really have a recommendation. We trust you that you'll come up with the right thing." So that's kind of what they talked about. The attorney, Aaron's attorney, they did acknowledge that Victoria had no previous record. I mean, she kind of was a good citizen before all this came about. And so they really didn't have, the attorney just said, we don't know what to suggest. So we leave it in your hands. Um, so yeah, the attorney went over some of the messages that we had shared here on the show before. Things, like, wanting to know if she was a bad person for ending his existence, or wanting to end his existence, that Aaron never wanted a divorce and he wouldn't give her a divorce. And so these things were kind of talked about. And also the fact that, they talked about locations that Aaron was at. Like, I think the attorney is trying to say, listen, this wasn't just banter. This wasn't just a frustrated wife discussing things. This was, they made plans. She
Mhm.
sent pictures of him to make sure that the hitman knew what he looked like. And there were addresses and locations given of where he was. So the
Right. It
lawyer,
was all premeditated. I mean, it wasn't just
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't some wife who's frustrated, or,
Mm-mm.
my husband's never home and I wish he was dead, or it wasn't just something blown off. Plans were made. And I think that's exactly why she pled guilty, and, they went with this plea, because she just knew. I mean, the things that were written, I mean, you can't take that back. These were genuine plans, and money was exchanged. We also learned how much money was actually exchanged. It sounds like it was upwards to $60,000 was given to
What?
Amato.
Ah.
And it sounds like it's possible that there was some blackmail going on, and that
Hmm.
it could have been the possible hitman, which for the first time we're hearing a name. They're referring to him as Mr. Gordo. Apparently, they're referring to the hitman as Mr. Gordo. It was also said that, and this was during the time Victoria's attorney stood up and spoke, um, pleading for less time for his client, of course, but did bring up the fact that Grant Amato and this Mr. Gordo have not been charged with anything.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I kind of understand it with Amato, because what more can you do for this guy?
Right.
Um,
I mean, he's
and
already what, 2 or 3 life sentences?
yeah, 3 life
3.
sentences.
Yeah.
He's never seen the light of day. I mean,
No.
more charges aren't going to do anything. I have to imagine he got into some type of trouble for having the phone, um, but taken care of in prison, like, maybe
Yeah.
solitary time. I don't even know that for sure. But this hitman, how is this hitman not getting
I don't know. But he
uh,
sounds like an X-Men, villain,
Mr. Gordon,
Mr. Gordo.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is the first I've heard a name given to the hitman. And they
Right.
kind of refer to him as a friend of Grant Amato's.
Huh.
So I don't know. So maybe more will come out about
I hope
that.
so.
The attorney for Aaron is really bringing it home that there's these messages, that Amato is writing, wanting to know, has it been done yet? Same for Victoria Goodwin. Like, is it done? I'm so anxious. What's happening? I mean, it was supposed to happen. It was
Right.
supposed to happen. And so there's really no getting around that. Um, Now, I know Victoria's attorney was trying to say she abandoned the plan. She hasn't spoken to these two in a long time. She clearly realized her mistake and stopped speaking to everybody. At some point last fall, it sounds like November of 2024. And so that should show that she had, cut it off and didn't want to do it anymore. But the thing is if everything had gone well in October or September, I'm hearing both, either September or October of 2024, he'd be dead.
Right. It sounds to me like she was just upset because they took her money and didn't do the job,
Yeah,
you
that's
know? It
that's what I'm.
doesn't sound like she had any kind of remorse.
No, it doesn't appear that
So,
way at
yeah,
all.
maybe
That
now that she's caught,
Oh yeah,
but
I'm sure she's very sorry for that. And the attorney had brought up the fact that she had lots of support there yesterday in the court. Her parents were being supportive, friends were there, and that she could have made bail, but she chose not to be released on bail because she wanted to stay inside and reflect on the things that she had done wrong, and show
hmm,
Aaron that she's trying to stay away from him to make him feel more comfortable after all this. I mean, it's just,
it sounds like a bunch of crap to me.
yep, sounds like a bunch of crap to me too. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't agree. Um, so um, even the attorney and later Victoria states that as soon as she can get um, probation at this time, that she'll leave the state of Nevada. She won't ever come back. She doesn't want Aaron to feel uncomfortable. So they were really pressing for just probation, no jail time at all. Of
Wow.
course, that's not super surprising, but I would have been, I mean, super surprised if that's what she would have gotten. Um, I mean, I get it. She was not a hardened criminal before all of this, but this is atrocious. The plans that were made, it's,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, there's a certain line when you cross that. I mean, I firmly believe that people can be reformed and they can
sure,
become better people,
absolutely.
but there's a line that you cross where it's not going to be overnight. Suddenly, I've reflected and I realize I'm wrong
Right.
and everything's good. I mean, it's just this
Yeah.
was way beyond that.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah.
It really was. And it sounded like this had been going on for a while. I know. So Victoria actually gets up to speak, and first thing she does is apologize to Aaron. Um, I will say the entire time we see her, there's a lot of sniffling going on, but I got real close to the camera because I was like, I don't see actual tears coming down. There's just a lot kind of, whimpers at times. I mean, it just seemed like even during the apology, it just seemed very, I mean, she didn't look well, that's for sure. I mean, and I get it. She's been in jail for 90 days, but and I'm sure she was very nervous about what she was going to get handed, but I just didn't see any actual tears. coming from her, which is,
Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone else watches the video, let me know. Maybe I'm missing them, but it just seemed like a lot of, bowed head, sniffling, kind of
Right.
going on. I
Like
just,
a big act.
it kind of seemed that way. I mean, it felt like she was putting on an act for the judge.
Right.
Uh, I just, that's what it seemed like. She did apologize to Aaron for causing him pain and anxiety and the betrayal that he must be feeling right now. She said she will always hold love for Aaron. That's how she phrased
Ah,
it, right? She'll always hold love for him. Um, she prays for him to find his joy and peace in his life. These are,
wow.
yeah, these are the things she's saying. She apologized to her parents. She said, in no way does this reflect on the way she was parented, that they were good, loving parents, and this shouldn't reflect on them. And then she apologized to the court. She said she's had time to think about what she's done. And she was taking the steps to fix her marriage before detectives came to see her. Aaron touches a little bit on that as well. And so, but she's making it sound like once her and Amato were no longer speaking, that she suddenly had a come to Jesus moment and decided, what have I done? I love my husband. I don't want to do this. Let's fix this. So she's claiming that should say something to the court because she has, she reflected during that time before the detectives came and arrested her. So,
I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know. I mean, it's easy to say that, but what we've got is these text messages and an exchange of money and all these other things. We have no proof of her reflection or
yeah,
whatever steps. Maybe there's something. Maybe she reached out to a marriage counselor or a
sure.
therapist. I mean, I don't know, but
Yeah.
right now, what we have in front of us doesn't seem like she did much reflecting. But
I think she just, you know, wants to save her rear end, which is
yeah,
understandable, but also too, like the fact that it just doesn't seem like there's remorse and that makes it
no,
worse.
right.
Um, so Aaron steps up with his statement, which is like, it was hard to watch. This poor man, it was very emotional. He, came up, he was already in tears and it was genuine and it was really tough. I mean, I think everyone's heart went out to him. Um it was, and I want to like shout out to the guard at one point when he walks up, like a guard immediately brings him over a tissue box. And I was like, that's so
Oh,
sweet.
that is sweet.
I thought
Yeah.
it's so nice. You just see this guard come over and he puts the box in front of him. So yeah, so Aaron takes a minute, to compose himself.
Oh, that's
And
heartbreaking. I wonder
yeah,
if Victoria had a tissue box. Probably
yeah.
not with
So
her
yeah,
fake tears.
yeah. You can see at the very end of the video that I saw on Court TV. I think it was like her attorney though brought her like a box of tissues, and I was like, okay, no need for the tissues because she ain't crying, so it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
she
there
may
should be not. You know what I mean? Like if
yeah,
she's yeah,
yeah,
no.
there should have been like full
Yeah,
blown, yeah, because yeah, Aaron had snot. Aaron had snot. He was
yeah,
blowing his nose.
exactly.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
He was, you can tell it's a combination of heartbreak and a disbelief, shock, just sadness over the whole thing. I mean, you can imagine he's feeling all kinds of things. The stuff that he talks about, it was actually a little more shocking to me than I was expecting. For some reason, I assumed that Grant Amato was the only one, and apparently she had been cheating on him with multiple men, as Aaron had.
Oh. Okay.
Um, yes, and that apparently Amato was going by. She was referring to him as Vince, and so Erin believed that the guy she cheated on, his name was Vince. He actually did not know it was Grant Amato at the time until detectives told him. Um, and apparently she came to him and admitted to cheating on him and said, I love you so much though, and I just want to fix our marriage. And he says that he actually offered to get a divorce, which is the complete opposite of some of the text messages that were written, in which she says, there's no way Aaron's going to give me a divorce, and so we just have to kill him because he's not going to give me a divorce. But according to Aaron, last fall, when she admitted to these, affairs she was having, he said, if you want to get divorced, we'll get divorced. And she said, no, I want to fix it. So this began the journey of them working on their marriage until she was arrested in March. And so he also says this is not the first time she's put a hit out on him.
What?
Yes.
Oh, poor Aaron.
Yeah, he didn't know until detectives told him, but it sounds like this was more than one person involved, and supposed to have killed him. I mean, so yeah, come on, lady.
Yeah.
Apparently she at some point it sounds like there was blackmail involved, that possibly this Mr. Gordo was blackmailing her into, like, I'll keep quiet, but you got to send me more money. Hence why $60,000 was being
Right.
sent in the end. Because we had heard other amounts, weird amounts for,
Right.
like, a couple $1,000s as a down payment. But Aaron stated it was their savings. She took their savings and paid off these people. This was news to me. Apparently, Victoria and Amato had a spiritual marriage. I
Huh.
not Yeah, a spiritual wedding, and I don't know what all of that involves, but they then after that referred to Aaron as her first husband.
Oh, this is getting weirder.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't know that, and I, once again, I knew these details were going to come out, but this was not what I was expecting
Mm-mm.
here. So, yeah, that's I don't like that. And so yeah, poor Aaron was describing the fact that he does have security with him now, because he's scared. He's always looking over his shoulder. He says he cries every day and feels very alone. Detective
Oh, this kills me.
I know it was hard. It's a tough watch because, I mean, listen, if you're if you watch Ghost Hunters too, like Aaron, I've always said he's the fun-loving guy. He's the goofball. He's the he's the sweet one. And you can tell when you watch his testimony that, it's really true. I mean, this really punched him in the gut, and this is just too much. And, I can't help but think of the PTSD that he has at this point. I mean, and he had even mentioned, he said, he did tell the judge, I don't, he said, how did he put it? I think this deserves jail time. And then he said, but I don't know. And he said, I'm going to leave it up to you. He said, but even if she's out, as soon as she's out, he's like, I'm in constant fear of what's going to happen to me, which is, of course he is. So this
Yeah.
poor man, and that's what we talked about. I mean, the true sentence here, I mean, let's say for a second, she does 7.5 years. I'm going on what I've been saying. She does 3 years tops and she's out, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I bet you she goes into jail and she is quiet as a mouse and does what she's told. I guarantee you she's out in 3 years. And so, but let's say for a second she does the 7.5. That man has to spend forever worrying about where he goes and what he's going to do. And I don't blame him. He's the one that truly has the life sentence here. It's not her.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the one that's gonna suffer.
Yes. Yes.
It's
I
just
mean,
so sad.
it's really so sad. And so, yeah, that's kind of how he ended it. He says, I feel like it deserves jail time. But then he said, I don't know. And then just kind of shook his head, and, I mean, ugh. So it was really tough, but I mean, it was very swift, this whole thing. And even Victoria's attorney acknowledged how quickly this all went. I mean, she's been in jail 92 days, they said, at that
Yeah.
as of yesterday. So she will get 92 days served. I mean, that will count towards her, 3 to 7.5. But, he did bring up the fact, like, listen, she admitted to this. She wants this for Aaron. That's how, she wants this to be done quickly and so he can just get on with his life. But it's like, lady, there is no getting on
No,
with your life after this.
no, there's not. It's just so heartbreaking. I just
Yeah.
can't imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, life will never be the same for
It won't.
Aaron, you know?
It
So,
won't.
I mean, he, she didn't kill him, but in a way she did. She killed part of him,
I think too. I
So,
think so too. It's not just the fear, but like, you know, he did talk a lot. If you watch, he does talk a lot about how he really felt like he had married his best friend, how they
ugh,
laughed every day. Right. It's seriously heartbreaking. And
yes,
so you can tell there's that whole aspect too. I mean, he thought he had found the one. And then when that one turns on you, he legitimately said, he goes, I don't even know who this lady is. And
right.
wouldn't. No clue. Now she does have, I've talked about this before, and I'm so sorry. I forget the what she has. She does have a very painful disease that will affect her. And her attorney did argue that she may not be getting the proper care while in jail. And it's kind of interesting because when he said that, like he spoke to the judge first, and when he said that, there was this twinge in me that was like, oh, like, oh, this person isn't going to get they're going to be in there and they're not going to get the proper care that they should have. But then I thought to myself, man, you have put yourself in this situation. And it was like after I heard Aaron's words, I was like, I just kind of became like, who cares? I just was like, who cares? Let her sit in there and struggle a bit with her health condition, because you literally wanted to get rid of someone forever, and for what?
Yeah, yeah, for what? Because she wanted to be free? I mean,
Right.
divorce is so much easier, like, and probably cheaper.
Yeah, yes, it is. Because now, I mean, it's going to be the same for her in a sense. I mean, she had a really nice lifestyle. You can tell by looking at their Instagram.
Yeah.
They went on trips, they did things together. Um, I couldn't help but notice she no longer has her weave in, because you can't take your weave to prison.
Oh.
You don't have anyone to take care of your hair anymore. So,
Yeah,
I mean, listen, her nails were always done. She looked like, she always looked beautiful in her Instagram posts, and they always looked so happy, and they had like a nice lifestyle. And those days are done. No matter how
yeah.
much time she spends, I don't know what she's going to do when she
I
gets
don't
out. But
either.
these are
Yeah.
this is the consequences of this type of thing. So,
Whew.
yeah,
Well, I guess we'll see, but I tend to agree with you. I think 3 years tops, she'll be out.
it's sad,
So,
but that's how our system is.
yeah.
I mean, that's what I think. I mean, I guarantee she's not going to cause a single issue. She's not. I mean,
No.
I don't know if she's going to get picked on. I don't know. But she's not
Yeah.
going to know how to fight back or turn her toothbrush into a shiv. She doesn't know these
Right.
skills. She was a
Right,
golfer for crying out
exactly.
loud.
Yeah.
You got to practice that stuff before you go in. So yeah,
Right.
she doesn't know. So my
Yeah.
guess is she's just going to keep her nose clean, and we'll see her again in 2028. That's my
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It,
I definitely don't think it'll be longer. Could be even
yeah,
shorter. So,
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't agree. And I don't agree. I think, honestly, 7.5 years isn't enough time. And I get it. Amato is already in. There's not much more you can do to that guy. But why? I want to know more about this hitman. I'm going to try and do some more research.
Yeah.
I want to know
Mr.
why.
Gordo, right?
Yeah.
Mr.
Yep.
Gordo.
Yeah.
Huh.
They wouldn't use the first name.
Interesting.
Kept referring to him
Okay.
as Mr. Gordo.
Huh. Do you
Yeah.
still think it could be like an undercover kind of thing?
Boy, I felt strongly about that. And
Yeah.
especially not pressing charges.
Right.
I don't know why it wouldn't come out now at this point, but
Yeah. Yeah.
let's stay
Especially
tuned.
if money was exchanged, you would think
Yes,
there would be more attention being given to
I
Mr.
think
Gordo.
too, because
So,
what he did, and if it was blackmail, I mean, an extortion, I mean,
uh-huh.
that's legal. I
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping more will come out about that. It should.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, so we'll see.
It's
So
interesting.
you
The way
know,
they're handling it is very interesting, but
yeah, the whole
um,
thing. It's just, yeah, how
yeah.
quickly it's gone, how we're
Uh-huh.
keeping certain names, sealed until, I mean, because Gordo almost sounds like a code name to
It
me.
does to
You
me.
know,
Yeah, it does.
yeah. So I
Or
don't know,
a made up villain. That's what
made
it
up villain.
sounds like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and Aaron also accused Victoria and her attorneys of trying to keep him quiet.
Huh.
And they did not want him there that day. I mean, I get it.
Oh,
That
yeah.
had, I mean, I probably would, if I would have seen Aaron in front of me that upset talking about
Yeah.
the thing that he was, I would have been like, you get the full 10. So I
Right.
get, don't want him there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was, yeah, check it out. The video is on YouTube. Like I said, Court TV covered it. And I'll put a link down below. It's just, yeah, it's heartbreaking. But I mean, I guess justice is served. I mean, it's better than probation. I mean, if
Right.
they would have given her probation, I would have flipped the table.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll keep
Yeah.
an eye on it. Thank you for updating us. I was
Yes.
curious
Yeah.
of how that went. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I was, yeah, I've been curious to see how that's gonna,
yeah.
what it was gonna get. I don't know. I think it's what I was expecting. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
see.
No real surprises, but
No, no,
happy
the
that
big,
it's at least moving forward. So,
absolutely, yes,
yeah.
at least done. Maybe Aaron can start trying, I'm the best that he can to go forward for himself.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I mean, the only surprises I got were the blackmail and the spiritual marriage.
Yeah. That
That's,
is really creepy to me.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. A lot of unknown.
yeah,
I just don't. I mean, how do you get to that point? It's just so
right,
crazy to me. I don't know.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there it is, and we do
Yeah.
have another topic today. We
Yeah, we do.
the Goodwin case isn't it? I swear. We
Yeah.
have some other paranormal stuff to bring you here. So yeah. But today we have something. It's a mixed case. It's kind of half true crime, half paranormal. So it's kind of right up my alley. Um,
Yes, I love it.
yeah, yeah. So it is the case of Teresita Basa. And she is the woman who solved her own murder. So we'll dive into that. So yes, so Teresita, she was born in the Philippines in 1929. She was the only child of wealthy parents. She enjoyed playing the piano. She was an excellent piano player, and she went to school in Manila. However, she later moved to the United States in the 1960s to study music, and she graduated from Indiana University. So she was studying music, but she ended up getting a job working as a respiratory therapist at Edgewater Hospital in Chicago, Illinois. So she was living in Chicago. And then at the time, so she decided to go back to school and was working on her doctoral thesis in music. So she was really involved in music and loved music. So
Aw.
so awesome, yeah. And she even gave piano lessons on the side out of her apartment. So
How
people would
cool.
have
She sounds like an
piano.
interesting person. I like
Yes,
her.
yes, yes. She's awesome. Everyone kind of described her as being quiet and just a very kind lady. Um, and so Teresita is a amazing woman living her life. She was I think she was kind of dating somebody, but she had lots of friends and was just kind of doing her thing. So yeah, good for her, especially in the city. I love Chicago, so I totally get it. It would be very cool to, just be out and about in Chicago, doing
Yes,
whatever
it
you want to do.
was.
Yeah,
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 Chicago was my very first big city
yeah,
experience. So I came from
yeah.
I graduated from a small town. I got a nanny job almost right out of high school
Okay.
in Chicago, and so I have a special place for
Yes.
that city. Yeah,
Yeah, I love it too. It was probably the first major city I went to as well. And
yeah,
yeah, there's just so much to do. And it's just, yeah, Chicago's great.
it
So
is. It
yeah,
is.
very cool. Um, So on February 21st of 1977, Teresita's day kind of started off like a routine, like normal for her. She worked her normal day shift at the hospital, and she went back home to her apartment around 7:30 at night. She received a phone call from her friend Ruth Loeb, and they talked for maybe like 20 minutes or so before Teresita had told her she kind of had to get off the phone just because she was expecting company. She said that she was having a man come over. So Ruth, knew some man was stopping by but didn't have all the details and just didn't really ask her much about it. Let her go. And so then, just about an hour later, at about 8:40 at night, neighbors of Teresita's, Merritt and Catherine Nazi, thought they could smell smoke coming from the apartment. They couldn't figure out exactly where it was coming from, so they called the janitor of the building. And when the janitor realized that there was smoke, he's the one who called the fire department and had them come in, and then he started evacuating the apartment building. By the time the fire department had gotten through the hallways, it was completely filled with smoke. They determined it was coming from apartment 15B, and that was Teresita's apartment. Um, they had actually kind of busted into the apartment building to see, where the fire was, and all they could see was that there was a burning mattress on the floor. So once they got the fire out, they looked underneath the mattress and they found a woman's nude body under there, and it was 48-year-old Teresita. Once they removed the mattress, they had also noticed that she had a butcher knife still lodged in her chest.
Oh,
So
how
she'd been
awful.
stabbed. Yeah.
Ugh.
They figured whoever had committed the crime, lit that fire to kind of cover up the evidence of everything that had happened. What they had done, whoever had murdered her had, she was laying on the ground. They put a pile of clothes on top of her and then set that on fire and then put the mattress on top of that. Um, at first, the police thought that she had been sexually assaulted, but after her autopsy, they realized that was not the case. Um, but because there was a fire, a lot of the potential evidence had been burned.
Right.
Anything on her and around, it had just been burned. So it was very difficult to kind of figure out, you know, prints or anything like that around that area. So they actually kind of thought maybe she had just been robbed. Like that was the initial thought of why this all happened because the apartment was completely ransacked. It was clear that there had been a struggle. It was hard to tell if anything had been taken, though, just because it was just everything was in disarray. Investigators kind of combed the apartment for the evidence, but it would seem like the murderer didn't really leave anything behind. It was very well thought out, it looked like. Nothing was left. However, they did find a handwritten note from Teresita that said, "Get theater tickets for AS." The initials AS.
Okay.
So that was kind of all they really had to go by. They thought maybe if they find AS, then maybe they can figure out what is going on.
Right. It would be a
Yeah.
good place to start
Good
anyway.
start, just
Yeah.
because, especially when evidence has been burned away and it's just so hard to tell, like where do you start when everything is a mess? It's like how do you know what's been taken? How do you know like why? Like what's the motive here, right? So detectives spend weeks interviewing Teresita's friends and her neighbors and coworkers and even her classmates since she had gone back to school. All of them spoke really highly of Teresita. She was really highly regarded at work, and all her patients really loved her too. Everyone seemed genuinely shocked by her death because no one seemed to think that she had any enemies. She was so kind to everybody. Like, who would want to do this?
Right. And it just seems like this happens to the sweetest people. I mean, we were
Like,
just talking about Aaron and how sweet and funny he is, and now Teresita, she's well liked by everyone. Ah, it's just so
yeah,
heartbreaking.
yes, it really is. It's just so sad to think about. Here she had come, worked really hard and left the Philippines and, here in the US, and she's trying to go back to school and study music, and then this is what happens. Like,
I know. It just makes me want to be mean
I
so I
know.
won't get murdered.
Right,
I'm done being a nice person.
right, right. But I mean, they did have some tips that came in. Just unfortunately, nothing really left led to anything, and eventually the case went cold. Um, so here's where the paranormal kind of steps in. This is really interesting.
This is it.
So 5 months after she was murdered, in July of 1977, the detective Joe Statula, let me say that right, yes, uh, Detective Joe Statula, who was put on the case, he received a call from Evanston Police Department saying that someone has information on Teresita's case. It was Dr. Jose Chua, who also goes by Joe, and his wife Remy had quite the story for the police. They lived in Skokie, which is a suburb of Chicago, and they both worked at the same hospital as Teresita. So yeah, so Joe was a doctor there. I believe that Remy may have also been doing the same thing that Teresita did. They were just on different shifts. So when detectives came to talk to the Chuas at their house, Dr. Chua had asked them, "Do you believe in the paranormal?" And the two detectives went along with it because I feel like most police are like deep down, they're like, no.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but of course they're going to want as much information as possible, so they're going to humor
Yes,
them at the very
exactly.
least.
That's exactly what happened. So they, of course, were like, yes, yes, we do believe in the paranormal.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So Dr. Chua went on to tell them that he believed his wife Remy was being possessed, in a sense, by the spirit of Teresita Basa.
I can't even imagine what those detectives were thinking when they
Yeah,
first started hearing this story.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine either because you're
They're
probably like,
like,
okay. I mean, listen,
"Okay."
I,
Looking at
I,
their watch,
you're right.
when we take off. What's
Right?
what's that code word to
Yes,
leave, you know?
yes, exactly, exactly.
They planned it when they went in. Okay, when I start talking about a bacon cheeseburger, it's
Yeah,
time to go.
it's go. Well, and it's hard too because they don't have any other leads. Like, there's been nothing else. Like, it's
Right.
been quiet for months and they don't know what else to do. So, when you hear that someone may have some evidence or something to tell you, it's, you got to go and listen, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, when they're like, hey, what are your feelings on the paranormal? You're like, oh, this is going to be an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I can only imagine.
So for the Chuas, this all kind of began for them when Remy started having these really intense dreams where Teresita was in them. So to Remy, I mean, Teresita was someone she had briefly met and kind of barely knew. Like I said, they were doing the same thing, but they were on different shifts, so they really weren't close. They didn't really work together like all the time. So they had met at their orientation, but shortly after that, they just kind of lost touch. So there was no way she could have actually known the things that she was about to tell her husband. She had heard about Teresita's murder on the news, and that's when the dreams, like shortly after that, had started coming to her. And for a long time, she just tried to ignore it. You think you're having a dream and you're just like, whatever, it's a dream. And I could see, even if there's someone that you don't know that well, yeah, that would, and murdered that way, like, you're
Yeah.
gonna think about it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be on
Exactly.
your mind. So I would have done the same. I would have blown them off as just dreams because it's someone you did know and they were
Mhm.
murdered in such a terrible way. Like, you're gonna dream about it.
Right. I
No
mean,
big deal.
there'll be like maybe passing thoughts like, oh, she was such a nice person. She must have
Yeah,
left a big impression on me. I didn't know her that well, but I
yeah,
just keep, having these dreams, uh, but I would blow it off too,
yeah,
as just, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
and it happened so close to her in her, workplace and all of that. I
exactly.
can see how, she could just say, oh, well, this is someone I knew and she just keeps showing up in my dreams, but I don't know.
Yeah,
It's still pretty, I don't know. I can't really say what I would do if I was in Remy's position because I mean, if they start being repeated, you know,
Yeah,
right,
right.
then it
You're kind of
might
like, oh,
start to stand out a little bit.
yeah, you might want to listen and see what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So when the dreams were getting ignored, one day Remy had actually kind of slipped into a trance-like state, and this is according to her husband Joe. So she started speaking to her husband in a voice that wasn't her own and in a language of Tagalong. So, being from the Philippines, that was their native language, and that was also Teresita's native language. So the Chuas were actually, I mean, when Joe heard this, he was still able to understand what Remy was saying. And so he got the gist of what was going on, but he thought it was strange that his wife was speaking to him. That's not normally, I think they were speaking to each other in English. So here she is. Her voice doesn't sound the same. She's speaking in another language. Like, what the heck's going on here? So what comes through is she says, "Doctor, I would like to ask for your help. The man who murdered me is still at large." And
Woo.
yes, right. And she ended up telling Dr. Chua he had nothing to be scared of. She was pleading for him to help solve her murder. She claims that she had been murdered by a man named Alan Showery with the initials AS. He said he would help repair her TV, but then he stabbed her. So she begged for Dr. Chua to please go to the police, and then the voice started to fade away. Once Remy came out of the trance, she had no recollection of what had happened. She had no idea
Wow.
that this was happening to her. She had told her husband that, that she had been dreaming. She was like, "This
Mhm.
is exactly what I'd been dreaming about for weeks now." And now this is happening. But they didn't call the police. The couple had talked themselves into believing that Remy was just talking in her sleep. Um,
Mm.
I can't say that I blame them, because it's like, what do you do? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I think that if I were to call the police and be like, "Oh, well, I just channeled a dead
right.
woman," that's tough. Like,
It's tough. I mean, you take that risk of being blown off or worse, them calling you crazy and,
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's tough. It's a tough decision, but
it is. Yeah, it is. So they decided, well, we're just gonna let it be right now. Um, but a week later, Remy falls into yet another trance. It's the same voice that comes through and talks to Joe, but she wanted to know why Joe hadn't gone to the police. This time she was a little bit angrier, going, "Why haven't you gone to the police yet?"
yeah,
Yeah. And then Joe had explained, he said, "I'm not going to go to the police. I have no substantial evidence. I don't have anything here. Like, I'm just going by you telling me what's happening here." So, using the voice of Teresita, she said that Alan had taken some of her jewelry. And it was very specific jewelry, because it was jewelry that her father, Teresita's father, had given her mother and then got passed down to her. Then, get this, the voice gave Joe 4 names and 4 phone numbers of people that could identify this jewelry.
I love this.
Yes,
This
right.
is the first part of the story that has really given me chills, but
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it that Teresita being channeled through Remy is like, oh, you want evidence? Okay, here you go.
There you
Here's
go.
this jewelry, this name, this phone number. I'll
Yes,
give it to you. Yeah,
yes,
let's go.
right. And so, I mean, what are the chances? I mean, Remy is not close enough to Teresita to know who her friends are, let alone
Right.
their phone numbers, right? That's
Yes, this is so
that's wild.
interesting. I
Yes.
love it. I mean, I love everything about this because I mean, she chose to speak through someone that she knew spoke her language.
Yes.
It's almost like they met for a reason, and
Yes.
in the beginning because they bonded, spoke the same language,
Right.
then really didn't see each other again, and then now she's being used as a vessel to
Yes.
get information for the murder case. I
Exactly.
love it. I love this.
Yeah. It's wild.
It
Uh,
is.
So when Remy came to, once again, she has no recollection of what the heck just happened. And so it is at this point, Joe's like, I'm going to call the police. This is, he felt like the details were more than a dream at this point. So he's like,
Yeah.
let's call somebody.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He was
But of
given
course,
the evidence he needed to pass
yes,
on to the police.
it
That's
was.
pretty awesome.
Yes, exactly. So the detectives, of course, were skeptical of the story, right? I mean, that's a given because this sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. Um, but they recognized the initials. So that was not released.
I was
The,
wondering about
yeah,
that. I was wondering if it was released in any of the media, stories about it. So that's good to know.
it wasn't. So when they recognized that the initials were AS, they thought, all right, we're going to do a background check on Alan Showery. Let's just see. Because I mean, what else do they have? They've got
There's
nothing right
nothing
now.
else, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now they did discover that Alan Showery did live near Teresita, so he didn't live that far from her, and he was also employed at the same hospital that she worked at. He was an orderly, so they knew each other. The police began interviewing Alan's coworkers, and several of them remember him saying he was going over to Teresita's house to fix her television. This is what they said. So detectives then decide they're going to interview Alan himself and showed up at his apartment unexpected. And they found him with his girlfriend, Yanka, and they were kind of hanging out together. They asked him if he wouldn't mind coming down to the police station just to talk. They thought if you anything about Teresita, we know you guys like knew each other. If anything you say will help us help solve this crime. So he agrees. He goes down. Now, initially, he denies ever going to Teresita's apartment. But after the detectives tell him that numerous people confirm that he told them that he was going over to Teresita's to fix that television, he was kind of like, all right, all right, so I did. Now, he says he went over to the apartment, but had to turn around and leave because he realized he didn't have all the right tools. He then said when he left, I mean, she was alive and well. He got there and was like, oh, I don't have what I need. I'll be right back. And she was just fine. And then when he got back home, his girlfriend was having electrical issues, and so he said, "Oh, I better take care of that first. I got to help that before I can go back to Teresita's." So then he just claims he never ended up going back because he was helping his girlfriend. So the detectives then return to his girlfriend, Yanka, and she said she didn't know anything about any electrical problems. We didn't have
I love
electrical
this.
problems. Yes.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, exactly. And so not only that, she said, well, even if I did have problems, Alan can't fix that. He doesn't know anything about dealing with electronics or electricity. So that stood out too because, like, not only did she not have a problem, he wouldn't have been able to fix it, but then why is he over at Teresita's trying to fix a television set?
Right.
He doesn't know how to fix a television set.
Right. He doesn't know how to do any of that stuff. He can't
Yeah,
fix
exactly.
anything.
She was gonna
I love
tuck him
that
right under that bus. She was like, "Nah, not this
right.
guy. He doesn't know how
Yeah.
to do that stuff."
Totally under the
Awesome,
bus. Right under
right?
there.
So they happened to ask her, "Did he by chance give you any jewelry?" Because that's what Teresita had said. She came and said, "Listen, he took my jewelry and he gave it to his girlfriend. She knew all this stuff." So they had to ask Yanka, "Did he by chance give you any jewelry?" And she said, "Yes, I'm wearing the pieces now." She had on a ring, she had on a necklace, and he claimed that he had gotten that jewelry for her as kind of a belated Christmas present.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, yeah, but this was it wasn't too long after Teresita had been killed. So there you go.
He once he started getting questioned by the police, I think he probably, if he wanted to get away with it, should have maybe coached Yanka a little better.
A little bit more. Jewelry? I'm wearing it now.
Yeah. It's just like she just totally threw him under the bus in every direction
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, "I'm not going down for this." Yes, yes. He
Exactly.
nothing about electrical issues, and he bought me jewelry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that.
This guy's full of crap.
So they did ask Yanka if she would come down to the police station. They had made arrangements for Teresita's friends to come down and identify this jewelry. They took the 4 phone numbers with the names, and sure enough, it all lined up. The phone numbers led to the exact friends that it said it would. And they came down to the police station and they looked at Yanka's jewelry and they said, "Nope, that's Teresita's all right." All 4 of them. They,
Wow.
we know that.
Okay.
That's hers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is amazing.
yeah, it is. So, of course, the detectives bring all this information. They go to Alan. They're like, "Listen, your goose is cooked. Like, this is,
Yeah.
yeah."
Is there
Now,
anything you want to tell us?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Are you
Exactly.
sure there's nothing you
Mhm.
want to tell us?
Exactly. Yes. So they decided to tell him exactly how this all began. I mean, they told him about the trances and everything. And as they're telling him this, apparently he went very pale and immediately confessed to the murder, which makes you wonder because, I mean, listen, he had been caught, he knew what he did. And of course, you're going to get spooked or whatever. But when I was learning about this, I kind of thought, I wonder why he was so bothered by that. It made me think, like, had Teresita, because if Teresita can come through Remy, who's to say she can't visit the man who murdered her? Like, what,
Right.
had he been haunted by this or by her in any kind of way? It just seems
Yeah.
the action was like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe
Or is
real.
she going to come for me if she hasn't already, you
Right.
know? So,
Exactly. Exactly. So he was definitely frightened by what they were saying. Um, so why did he do it? Why did he do this? And he had decided he was going to rob Teresita because he needed rent money. So he made the plans and said he was coming to fix her television set. And she had written that note because she was going to pay him back by getting him theater tickets. That's why that was there. And as soon as he came into the apartment, apparently he immediately had attacked her. I mean, she had gone to turn to close the door and he jumped her from behind, um, ended up stabbing her. And he decided to take her clothes off because he wanted to give the impression that she had been sexually assaulted. I mean, I think he thought he was leading the police in some other kind of direction. Um, but yeah, he ended up going through, why the apartment was so ransacked is because he was looking for money. He only got $30 out of the whole deal.
that's just so sad,
It
man.
is,
Oh,
it's terrible. Um, Not that I would condone if she was a millionaire and had cash everywhere. It's just, it's absurd that you're committing this type of murder and, because you need rent money. Like, come on.
right. I
I
know.
don't,
That's so
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
There's so
uh,
many better ways to
yeah, make
get
money.
rent money.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
so sad.
absolutely.
So sad.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that's why he decided to take the jewelry. I think he was going to try and take it. Now, I didn't read this, but I have to assume he did or attempted to sell some of it because obviously Yonka ended up with some of it. So why did she end up with some?
Right.
Did he try to take it to get rent? Who knows? We don't
Yeah.
know how much she took of,
Hmm.
of it. Um, but Teresita knew that the pieces that she had, like her friends would recognize it. It was enough, it was stuff that she had worn and that they would recognize and know.
Right.
He did admit that he started the fire to cover up any of the evidence that was left behind, and he admitted to everything, and they arrested him. So he did eventually take his confession back about the time they were going to go to trial. He did say that the police were trying to coerce him into a confession. And so he ended up pleading not guilty once they went to trial at this point. Um, so trial began January 21st of 1979, lasted 4 weeks. And after that, there was a hung jury.
How?
right?
Well, I mean, considering where the officers were, the detectives were led,
Yeah,
the source, I can
yeah,
understand how it's weird, but they did have evidence. I mean, they did
yeah,
have witnesses that could, identify the jewelry, and I don't
yes.
know. It just, I'm confused about the hung jury, but
I'm a little confused about that as well because, yeah,
yeah.
let's forget for
And
a
he
second that
admitted to it
he did.
first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
to me, it doesn't seem like it was the detectives that, led him, used coercion to get him to confess. It sounds like his defense attorney led him to say, you need to do this.
yeah.
They don't have enough evidence. So it seems like he was coerced by his defense attorney, not by the police, in my
Yeah,
opinion. But
that's what I
yeah,
think too. I 100% agree with that. Yeah, I mean, listen, besides the strange way that this all came about, yeah, he was like, why would if he had Teresita's jewelry? You
right.
know, if he's like, oh no, it wasn't her, like find the receipts, man. Like where did you get it from? Why do her friends recognize it? I mean, that alone there. And why are your initials, at her house? You were there. You were the last person to see her alive, if you're not the murderer. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it's just all it's all just too, yeah. I mean,
Sometimes I
but
worry about our justice system, I tell you.
I I have to say, like, I started the research on this, and then Aaron's situation came up, and I couldn't help but feel, like, wow, you know, because here's the sad thing about this. It kind of gets worse, in my opinion. So they have the mistrial, and they're waiting for a second trial without any reasons. Like no one understands why. Alan Showery, decides that he is going to plead guilty. He just decides he's going to plead guilty out of nowhere.
That is wild because I mean, it was a mistrial. It was a hung jury.
Yeah.
Like he had this opportunity to walk away. So why
Yes.
now?
Yeah. Why is he
What
saying
happened?
guilty? Yes. And that's kind of the mystery. Now, there are some rumors that he did plead guilty because maybe he was visited by Teresita's ghost. And
She's
that
probably
scared,
pissed. If she
I
did
bet.
visit him, I'm sure it wasn't a very nice visit.
I can only imagine. Yeah, it's a very
Yeah.
Scrooge situation going on, right? I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of the ghost of your past coming back to tell you what you need to do. Um, so because he pled guilty, he was then sentenced to 14 years for the murder, 4 years for robbery, and another 4 years for arson. Um, which to me is sad in itself. I mean, wow, you murder someone, you get 14 years.
I know. That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
What's worse is that when he was up for parole, he got it. And now I have some mixed I found some different answers as to how long jail time he actually did, but it was somewhere between 4 and 7 years.
That's insane.
It's insane to me. So,
What?
yeah, I'd seen 4 years, I had seen 6 years, and then I had read 7 years. And it doesn't matter. Pick any of those numbers. The bottom line is that is a bunch of crap.
It is a bunch of crap.
I mean, 14 years is nothing, and that
That's
just is
nothing.
enough to pick you off. But
Yeah.
yeah, he went in and he behaved himself, and this is what I'm talking about. This is where, like, as soon as Aaron's and the sentencing came down yesterday, I was like, wow, here's two situations, we want to
Mhm.
talk about on the show. And
Yeah.
I think to myself, has justice been served here? Because it just doesn't
Right.
feel that way.
No,
It
not
doesn't
at
feel
all.
like me. Um, yeah. And I couldn't help but think some of this is kind of close to my heart. I've never shared this before on the show, but I had a stepsister who was murdered. Her boyfriend had killed her, and her mother. He had waited for her, and if she was in an abusive situation, it took her a while to decide to leave him, and she did. And he waited. It was just days before Christmas. They were at a Christmas party. She had come home first with her daughter. I had a 3-year-old niece. At that time, she was 3. This was back in 2006. And he was waiting for her and shot and killed her. Uh,
Wow. Oh my
and
gosh.
yes, and so this all took place in Detroit. And shortly after that, her mom had come home from the same Christmas party. And I apologize. I'm sorry. My stepsister did not bring her daughter home. Her mother brought my
Oh, okay.
my
Yeah.
yeah. His name is Victoria. Um,
Oh,
yes, who brought her back home and found my stepsister dead. And she had called 911. She had called her brother, and she had called a close family friend of theirs. And when those phone calls were made, the last phone call, the phone had hung up, but it's because he was still in the house and he had shot her. Um, 911 finally came at that point, and she was still alive. My stepsister's mother was still alive, and so she was able to say who did it. So that's how
oh,
they were
wow.
able to catch him. But my niece was there to witness all of this, and um, I feel like everyone was so relieved that she was okay and she was safe, right?
Yes.
Um,
Ugh, so scary.
it's very scary. However, I bring this up because during that time, I don't know how many people listening or watching are very familiar with he was the mayor of Detroit, Kwame Kilpatrick, and he had gotten himself into some trouble during that time.
Mhm.
It was the big trial that was going on. So when my stepdad and my mom were talked to by the prosecuting attorneys, they were really kind of, in a sense, talked into not going to trial, because at that point Detroit was overrun with this particular case, with Kwame's case. And so they were like, we're going to take a plea from him. And so he ended up getting 30 years um, for 2 murders. And I think he got 2 years for possession of a firearm. So you murder 2 people and you only get 15 years
Y
each. So this kind of
Right.
reminds me that, like, you, I mean, and the the murder of my stepsister's mother was so, I mean, he could have left, right? He could have been done. He could have said, "Oh my God, what have I done?" But no, he sat there and plotted, and then, you know, shot and killed her. So this is what I'm talking about. Our judicial system, I think, is still quite flawed.
Oh, yeah, for
I don't
sure.
think sentencing is fair. And a lot of times when you confess what you've done, they're going to cut your time down. I mean, these are the whole, like, bargaining chips, right? Like,
Yeah,
you're going to bargain with people so you can say, well, we got a confession, we got him for something.
yeah.
And I myself, and he was a young guy when he did it. My stepsister was just 20 years old when she
Oh,
was killed.
so sad.
And and he was a young guy too. And so, I don't know the situation right now. I don't know how well behaved he is. I don't know when he comes up for possible parole. And so, but when you think about it, 30 years is nothing. Let's say he does his full time, he would have been like, he's going to be like a 50-year-old man.
Right.
And then what does he do? They release him back into the wild, where he has
Yeah,
no idea how things are working these days. And
right.
it's kind of like all he knows. That's a long time. But I'm thinking to myself, what is he gonna, what could he possibly do? Is he, I just, to me, it's just not enough time. If you're gonna take 2 people's lives with intention, you need to go to jail and you need to be there forever. It's just too much. And so it's the same with this guy. I mean, Alan Showery, he did, however long he spent in jail, 4, 6, 7 years. It's crazy to me. But he died in 1995, and he had gone to Brooklyn. He passed away in Brooklyn, New York, and he would have been like 49. So I didn't hear maybe, what had happened to him. It's hard to find record of why he passed away. Um, but yeah, I'm sorry. It's
Uh,
just sad to me that these types of crimes are happening, and I don't know. And it's different everywhere you go, right? Sometimes they really put the hammer down on some of these things. They make an example of you, and you don't get a chance, right?
right.
Um, and then there's other times where I feel like there's too many chances given.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking about what a good person Teresita seemed to be,
Yeah.
just a solid person. And she obviously had a lot of ambition and, drive and, passion for life and things that she, enjoyed and made a really great impression at work. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that she, in her afterlife, even continued to be that solid person where this guy's not going to get away with this. I'm going to,
Absolutely.
yeah, even beyond the grave, I'm going to make
Yes.
sure. I love that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of spirit I want to be.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
kind of
Right.
ghost I
Yeah.
want to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I strive to
Absolutely.
be like Teresita
Yes.
ghost.
Absolutely. And now
Yeah.
that's the thing too. I mean, now why do you think how was it that Teresita got to do this? Why do you think she picked who she did? Why do you think that was?
I mean, I think it was because of the language. I feel like she picked a person that she felt could precisely deliver the message and maybe um just like she was able to speak in her language. That was one more thing to make it obvious that it was her kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
seemed like she picked a, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting that they both were from the Philippines,
Yeah.
and it's interesting that they didn't know each other well, but I felt like she just used the person that she felt could get the message out the most accurately.
Yes.
I don't know. That's
Yeah.
just
I have to agree with that. I do find that there's got to be some connection. She obviously felt comfortable, talking with somebody from, the country that she was from.
yeah,
And it is said, like, people of the Philippines are very spiritual people. I
right.
mean, they have a lot of these beliefs, and so this may not be uncommon.
Yeah.
Um,
And
you
I
know,
also thought of I've shared this about my ex's grandfather that
yeah,
died. I
yes,
didn't know him. I've met him a couple times. Why did he come to me? You know what I
yes,
mean? Like
yeah,
I don't know, but I was the closest in proximity. So it is interesting that, who she chose to be
yeah,
the messenger.
exactly.
Um, but again, I don't know why I was chosen to be the messenger
Sure,
either.
sure.
So it's all so fascinating.
It's very fascinating, and you have to wonder, like you and maybe even Remy, in a sense, maybe m- you're more open, you're
Right. That's true too. Yeah.
to that type of thing. I mean, I know Remy couldn't really remember, however, but that doesn't mean that her beliefs weren't still there, and
Right.
so that could have made things easier for Teresita. But doesn't it make you wish every person who was murdered could just come back and say,
Yes.
did it? I mean,
Yes.
I wish everyone could do it, because,
Me too.
yeah, it would be probably less murders for one.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. They don't want to be ratted out or haunted themselves because it does seem
Exactly.
like, to me, it seems like Teresita gave Alan a visit, you
Yeah.
know,
I kind of have
because
to wonder.
why? Yeah, I don't know. Or he was afraid she would, and it just
Yeah.
got to him, and
Yeah.
he was like, I can't live like this.
Yeah. Yeah. It certainly is. She probably said, I'm not going to leave you alone until you admit what you've done.
Right.
We can keep,
Yeah.
doing this for as long as you want, but you
Yeah.
got to have to, yeah. She brought him to justice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 What an interesting case.
It
I
is
really that it
fascinating.
was crime and a little bit of paranormal mixed in
Yeah.
there. It was a good mashup of
Yeah,
the
that's what I
two.
think too. It was, yes, and finding out, what happened with Aaron Goodwin, also in my
Yeah,
opinion, also true crime, and he works in the
exactly.
paranormal. So yeah,
Yeah,
so we're just having a paranormal true crime type of day. So
I
yeah,
know. And we got the mystery of my door being open in the
I
middle of
know. Yeah, he
It's
was posting.
crazy.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. Like, it was like right before we went on. I mean, Jamie like jumped because she like and held her head. She was like, something just hit me in the
I
head. Like,
I literally thought
you know,
like a beetle, like a bug or something hit me, and then it happened again. So I was like, there's something in my hair? So I went to the bathroom and there's nothing, but I didn't
Yeah.
see anything or feel anything, solid. It was just like
Right.
a thump. It was so
Yeah.
weird.
Oh, that's so
Ah,
strange.
I
Okay. Well,
know.
yeah.
Okay.
Let us know
Well,
if there's more.
I will. For now, I'm gonna blame that doll.
Right. There you go. Yeah.
It's always that doll's fault.
Right. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. So yes.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
You've got a birthday tomorrow as
Oh.
well. Yes, it's Jen's birthday month.
It is. It is. It is.
Gemini
Yeah.
season.
It
It's
is Gemini
awesome.
season, which is, one of my favorite seasons. And yes, it's my birthday's tomorrow.
Yay, happy birthday.
I'm excited to turn 25.
That's
Um
right. 25. Yeah, in my family, we never go past 29.
oh
Everybody
yeah,
stops at 29. That's the cutoff. So,
yeah, that's cut off. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Yep. That works for me too. But yeah, I'm excited. Yeah,
Yay.
yeah, we'll have a fun day planned, and yeah, it'll be good. So I'm excited. I love
Cool.
birthdays. I love birthdays. I love my
I
birthday.
do
I love
too.
everyone else's birthdays.
I do too.
Yeah, we're big on celebrating.
Yeah, not everybody's into it. I'm always
Yeah,
like, why not? Like,
yeah,
why not have an excuse to have fun? Why do you got to be
yeah,
such a Debbie Downer about it?
yeah. Take your day. I mean, honestly, for me, like aging, it's like it's all like how you perceive it,
Yeah,
and it's what you make it. And so just it doesn't I don't think it matters how old, everyone ages, but you just live your life to the fullest, and yeah, just
yeah,
have fun with it. Yeah. I'm all about celebrating. Everyone should want to celebrate themselves for a day. So just do it.
exactly. Or a month, whatever,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly.
Yes. Well, happy birthday. I hope it's a
Thank
good
you.
one. I hope if you go and do some shopping, you find some
Yeah.
cursed objects to bring back.
Yeah. Yeah. I told Jamie because she asked what I was doing for my birthday. I said, well, we're gonna hit some yard sales. So yeah,
Yeah.
see what I can find. I don't know. Fingers crossed something will get purchased.
Yes. Yeah. I know. We are so bad. I
I
don't know
know.
if we're bringing this stuff on ourselves, but
Yeah, that's why. We're like, why is Jamie getting thumped in the head and her door swinging wide open? I
yeah.
don't
Huh,
know. Because
I
yeah, we're playing with fire here.
don't know. Yeah. Whew. All right. I hope
All
I'm
right,
just
awesome.
absent-minded and not haunted.
I
That's what I'm
hope so
hoping.
too. I hope so too.
Yeah.
And also too, like for like non-ghost reasons, like I hope like no one else did it. That was my
Yeah,
biggest.
yeah.
Like I don't
Exactly.
want it to be like another human, because I would rather deal with ghosts than creepy
Yeah,
alive people.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
we'll
everything seems fine. I mean, a
good.
couple flies got in, but other than that, I think everything's okay. So,
Okay, good,
yeah.
good, good deal. Well,
Yeah.
thank you everybody for
Yeah, thank you.
coming by another week, and we'll see you here next week with another spooky tale. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, which is Unexplained Archives 25. You can also find us on Facebook as the Unexplained Archives. And we would love to hear your stories. Do you have like a spooky tale you want to share with us? We'll share it on the air. And yeah, it could be anything like we talked about today. Have you ever been put in a trance because a spirit was trying to talk through you, or solve a crime, or anything? Honestly, we want to hear about aliens and ghosts and your Bigfoot sightings and your fairy
Yes.
sightings, all the stuff. So yeah, feel free to write us. We're at the Unexplained Archives 2025 at gmail.com. You can find all the info down below in the show notes today. Yep. And yeah, we'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye.